This system won't excite you. That's why it works. If you click this video hoping for motivation, hacks, fast money, you're on the wrong video. Let that sit. But if you're tired of starting over, tired of feeling behind, tired of getting excited just to end up right back where you started, stay until the end, because I'll show you why excitement is actually dangerous when you're trying to build wealth. No promise of money, no call to action, just tension. Let me guess what you've already tried. Side hustles. Investment videos. New strategies every month. Slow, deliberate pacing. You get excited. You feel hopeful. You tell yourself this one is different. For a few days, or maybe a few weeks, you're locked in. And then life happens. A bill shows up. Work drains you. Something unexpected hits. And everything stops. Not because you're lazy. Not because you don't want it bad enough. But because the plan required you to feel good forever. Let it land. That's not a failure of effort. That's a failure of systems. Most people try to build wealth with effort. They rely on discipline, motivation, willpower. Effort requires energy. Energy disappears when you're tired. It disappears when you're stressed. It disappears when you're broke. That's why effort-based plans collapse. Not immediately, quietly, one skipped step at a time. Automation doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're motivated. It doesn't care if you had a bad day. It executes anyway. That's why automation beats effort every time. In a few minutes, I'll explain why effort feels productive, but quietly keeps you stuck. Hype fades, trends die, algorithms change, motivation disappears. You can't expect to stay motivated and financially stable all at the same time, because that's just not the way the system meant to operate, believe it or not. Boring systems don't. They don't need excitement. They don't need confidence. They don't need belief. They only need consistency. Wealth is built the same way walls are built, one brick at a time, placed in the same spot. Because you can't build a home without a solid foundation and a blueprint. However, many of us have tried just that, referring to our finances, until we realized, some of us decades, what seems like later, that it isn't going to work in that style operation. Because believe it or not, there are several reasons for people to hold back on changing things around an ordinance towards your financials over and over. So quietly that it looks like nothing is happening. Now let's dive into the reasoning behind why broke people chase excitement. Well, if you didn't know, here it is. When you're broke, excitement feels like hope. Hope feels like progress. Progress feels like relief. Just a small sense of security. But hope without structure is a trap, because it gives you the feeling of movement without the protection of results. That's why broke people jump from idea to idea. Not because they're irresponsible, not because they're lazy, but because excitement temporarily silences anxiety. And silence feels like success. Let that hit. Until the excitement fades. And the anxiety comes back louder. I say all this because I recommend myself to move in silence. No one needs to know every single move you make, because wealth is built quietly, no flexing. Real wealth doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't look impressive in the beginning. It looks boring. List slowly. Routine transfers. Predictable saving. Automated investing. Unsexy habits. Repetitive actions. Nothing to post about. Everything to benefit from. In a moment, I'll explain why flexing progress actually slows wealth down. Because it may come off rather different than what you might expect. Here's what a real wealth system looks like. Money comes in. What's done next is mind-blowing? Well, I'm joking about this because it's rather just the opposite. Instead, it's a simple formula. Money is automatically divided. Bills, savings, investments, before you touch it, before emotions get involved, before decisions get made. No motivation required, no willpower required, no excitement involved, just execution. That's why most people never build systems. Systems remove control. And most people are addicted to feeling in control. They want to decide every dollar. They want to tweak. They want to adjust. Though I hate to break the bad news, instead, I recommend doing just the opposite. That's ego. Ego wants credit. Though I'm not interested in the credit, but however a lot of people suffer with this concept of not wanting to admit that what they have been controlling all this time hasn't been working. So maybe it's time to try something different. Systems want results. Systems don't care how smart you feel. They care about what compounds. Because the more automated it is, the smoother it operates on autopilot. Buildwealthbroke, the uncomfortable truth. You don't need a lot of money to build a system. You need structure. 5 automated dollars beats 50 emotional ones every time. Even though it may seem rather shocking, wealth systems don't scale with income first. They scale with discipline. Income just accelerates what already exists. I tell you this because without a strategy or plan, you could have all the money in the world and would eventually blow through it because you didn't have any systems in place to help multiply your income and grow your system. It's literally like an evolving door that must continue nonstop opening and closing. Now let's discuss the payoff and reasoning as to why the excitement is so dangerous. Excitement makes you change things. It makes you tweak. It makes you abandon boring progress for shiny promises. That's why excitement is dangerous. It interrupts compounding. And compounding only works when left alone. But if you want to experience power in the highest form, well, here's the future visualization, Calm Power. Imagine checking your accounts and realizing things are moving without you thinking about them. No stress, no scrambling, no panic, just quiet progress. That's what systems give you. Silence, control. Strictly authority, not hype, because the system won't excite you. But instead, that's why it works amazingly, the system won't excite you. I must repeat this one more time to drill this into your mindset. That's why it works. If you want noise, chase hype. If you want wealth, build systems. Well, here you have it, a system. Subscribe if you're ready to get boring. And for any of the other tips or ideas, check out this playlist, and remember, with systems comes boredom, but with boring comes wealth. So here's the system if interested, links in the description.